All right, let's talk about something you probably don't think twice about: salt. Yeah, that simple stuff in your kitchen shaker. It seems so basic, right? But what if I told you that this one little mineral has a secret history, a story so powerful it literally built the world as we know it? Just let that sink in for a minute. Empires, revolutions, sparked by something that fills the oceans. We're talking about wars, incredible wealth, political power, even protests. All of it swirling around these little white crystals. See, for most of history, salt wasn't just for flavor. It was one of the most precious things on Earth.
So what made it so special? Why all the fuss? Well, it boils down to one simple, world-changing idea: survival. Way before we had refrigerators, the entire game was about finding salt, controlling it, and trading it. It was a massive driving force behind, well, everything.
The key, the absolute game changer, was preservation. Salt let us stop food from rotting, and that changed everything. It meant we could finally break free from just surviving day to day. You could store food for the winter, you could feed an army that was miles from home, you could build cities and know people wouldn't starve. Salt was, and I mean this literally, the bedrock of civilization. And you know what happens when something is that essential, right? Whoever controls it controls everything. Power, wealth, and governments caught on to this fast. The rule became simple: control the salt, control the people, and control the money. And this isn't just theory. Look at the history. We're going back to 2000 BCE, where China was already using the salt tax to fund huge projects like the Great Wall. Then you have the Roman Empire. Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt. In fact, that's where we get our word salary from, the Latin salarium. Fast forward to the 1300s, the French monarchy paid for its wars for centuries with a super unpopular salt tax called the gabelle. And of course, in 1930, Mahatma Gandhi led the famous Salt March to protest the British monopoly on salt, a huge turning point for India's independence. And look at this. This isn't some new discovery. This painting is from an ancient Egyptian tomb from like 1450 BCE. That's over 3,000 years ago. And you can clearly see them salting fish. This simple technology, just using salt to preserve food, is what allowed empires like Egypt to grow, to trade, and to become powerful. Okay, so that's the big, epic, global story. Empires rising and falling over salt. But what happens when we zoom way, way in? Let's take this same story and see how salt can shape not just a country, but a single community, its food, its culture, its very soul. To do that, we're going to a place called Isan in northeastern Thailand. Now, what's so cool about Isan is its geology. Millions and millions of years ago, this whole area was actually a giant sea. When that sea dried up, it left something incredible behind: massive domes of salt buried deep underground. It's like a whole ancient ocean is trapped right under their feet. So the people there, they don't get their salt from the ocean like most places. Nope. They harvest something called glua sin tau, which basically means rock salt. They get it right from the ground, from the salty soil, and from brine that bubbles up from those ancient deposits. And believe me, this makes it totally different from the regular old sea salt you and I know. And this special salt, it's so much more than just a resource for them. It's really the heart of their culture, their identity. It touches everything, but especially their food. It's the secret to what makes their cuisine so unique. So what's the difference really? It all comes down to chemistry. See, the sea salt we use is pretty much just sodium chloride, but this Isan rock salt is full of other minerals like calcium and magnesium. Now, for their most famous dish, pla ra, it's a kind of fermented fish, that difference is everything. If you try to make it with regular sea salt, the fish can actually spoil. It just doesn't work. But their local rock salt, it preserves it perfectly and gives it this incredibly complex, delicious, savory flavor they call nua. And this isn't just some food science tidbit. It's something the people there have known for generations. It's pure traditional wisdom. As they say, to make real pla ra, you have to use their local rock salt. Any other kind just won't taste right, and it might even ruin the whole batch. For them, it's not even a question. And the way they get this salt is just as amazing as the salt itself. It's this ancient process passed down forever. They start by scraping up the very top layer of salty soil. Then they put that soil in a filter and pour water through it, which creates this super concentrated salt water, or brine. And finally, they boil that brine for hours and hours until these perfect, pure salt crystals start to form. It's incredible. But for the people of Isan, the connection goes even deeper than food.
It's spiritual. Salt isn't just something they sell, it's a sacred gift. They believe every single salt well has a guardian spirit protecting it. So before they even start making salt for the season, they hold a ceremony called feeding the well, where they make offerings and ask for permission. And then at the end of the season, they hold another ceremony to say thank you. It's this beautiful relationship built on total respect for the land.
2,500 years. That's how long this has been going on. Archaeologists have found pottery here with traces of salt and rice that's at least that old. So this isn't some recent tradition. Salt has been at the very center of life in this region for thousands and thousands of years.
All right, let's zoom back out and bring it all home to today. Our relationship with salt now, it's kind of weird, isn't it? For thousands of years, we were desperate to find it. Now we're told to avoid it at all costs.
It's like salt has two faces today. On one side, it's absolutely essential to life. I mean, it's in IV drips that save lives by balancing our electrolytes. It's used in all sorts of manufacturing. But then there's the other side, the one we all hear about. Too much salt in our food is a huge health risk, right? We're talking high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney issues, the whole list.
So think about that journey for a second. We've gone from salt being a sacred resource, something people were literally paid in, the very thing that built empires, all the way to this everyday substance on our table that doctors tell us to cut back on. That is one heck of a transformation.
So yeah, the story of salt is about so much more than seasoning. It's about power, it's about culture, it's about survival and life itself. And it really makes you realize that the most ordinary things around us can have the most extraordinary stories. It kind of makes you wonder, right? What are you going to look at differently now? What's the next ordinary object in your house that has a secret just waiting to be told?